We're getting a piece of breaking news as well. Let's get to this. This is the information that we're getting from top government sources. The CDS post, we're given to understand, will be filled within the next 10 days. The government is committed to appoint a new Chief of Defence Staff after the unfortunate incident that happened today. The commanding officers and flag officers, whoever is eligible the most for this post, will be considered. Shreya Dondial has more details on this. We're given to understand that this will be done quickly with, is our best understanding, Shreya. Walk us through what will be the process and what will be the considerations for whoever is going to be appointed the next Chief of Defence Staff.
Typically, if you follow the rules, then the senior most general in the services, Army, Navy, Air Force, should be the one who is picked. But the procedure is that 5 names are sent by the Defense Ministry to the CCS, and then the ultimate call is the CCS, is the Prime Minister of this country. Now, the senior most general, amongst the Army Chief, the Navy Chief, and the Air Chief right now is the Army Chief, General Naravane. Will he get picked as the next CCS? He's due to retire now. We just have to wait and watch. But the fact is that the CDS's post is way too sensitive to be left unmanned, Zaka. So the commitment from the government is that we will decide and announce a name soon. How soon? It is not happening in the next couple of days at least. So the deliberations, I do believe, will begin in the next couple of days. Right now, the entire energy of the armed forces and the Ministry of Defense is concentrated on getting the mortal remains of the CDS, his wife and all 13 people who lost their lives, back to Delhi and for the last rites to be held. It's only after that a discussion will begin. But a name announcement as his successor should happen within the next 10 days. So the discussion will start, I think, only in the next 48 hours or so.
All right. Underlying to that information, I think, is the government's commitment to continuing this post and this hierarchy of having a Chief of Defence Staff. Remember, this is a fairly new concept for the Indian Defence Forces. General Rawat was the first CDS, took charge in January of 2020. So we're looking at a new structure that's been in place for less than 2 years. Let me also get in a word from Major General SVP Singh. So one, I think it's very clear that the government wants to say that continuity will be established. They're committed to this new structure of a Chief of Defence Staff, having different theatre commands, so on and so forth, and yet at the same time also want to assure the top brass of all 3 forces that this is a work in progress, that there will be continuity, there will be whoever is the most qualified to take over next will be given that job, despite the extremely terrible nature of circumstances that have led to the death of General Rawat, his wife, and 11 others. Major General SVP Singh.
Yeah. See, the very creation of the designation of Chief of Defence Staff was with a very major aim of reforms in the armed forces and taking forward the threat perception which has come to exist. And General Rawat filled that post admirably. He filled it admirably, performed admirably. He had a vision. He was a man of future wars who could see well ahead. And now, the key post that Chief of Defence Staff is, it is with the theaterization in being, in the pipeline, it also carries that he is the Commander-in-Chief of the theatre commanders. So with operational responsibility, and as we see what is existing across our borders, both north and east, it is well that the government does not wait much longer. The vacuum has to be filled, and the redundancy caters for filling the post with equally capable officers or the chiefs who are there today who will be in consideration, and two as well. In fact, I would say General Rawat has left a springboard for his successor to take forward what he had done. He had articulated himself in the environment, both within the services and in the strategic circles with great aplomb, and brought to fore the issues on hand with the armed forces. Well, General Rawat is as Chief of Defence Staff, not only theaterization, you see his management of reforms to articulate was tremendous. And he had a vision. What I saw of him was that he had the insight or he could read the mind of the opposite side.
Okay.
That is the Chinese and the Pakistanis. And the Galwan issue I want to highlight here. When we went in the east of Kailash ranges, the Chushul board, a few days before his statement had come, okay, we will do something very important at the time of our own choosing. And
Yeah.
I think that took China back 2 steps. So that was the bold commander, the battle-hardened operational commander that General Bipin Rawat was.
Okay.
And his
I
legacy
also want to
will
go.
stay.
Yeah, I also want to go across to Wing Commander Abhishek Mathiman. I know it's early days yet. Yes, a court of inquiry has been instituted. They will get to the bottom of what went wrong in today's crash. But let's look at some preliminary facts as we know it. The Mi-17 V5 is supposed to be one of the sturdiest choppers in the business. It's a VVIP chopper. It has flown, among others, the Prime Minister, other ministers, the chiefs. So it is a time-tested chopper. It's a time-tested vehicle, as it were. That's one thing. Second thing, what we've heard from eyewitnesses on the ground, and admittedly they are no experts, but what we've heard from eyewitnesses on the ground is that the chopper hit a tree. So which means it was in downflight for a considerable period of time if it has to hit the top of a tree, then burst into flames and smoke, and then crash down. From this preliminary information, can we gauge as to what could have gone wrong, Wing Commander?
So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. With the inputs available at hand since this afternoon when this tragic, in fact, devastating accident has taken place, putting the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together, what prima facie happens to be a case, although it will be a little premature to be contemplating on about the reasons that could have led to this tragedy. Nevertheless, before the completion of the court of inquiry, we can correlate the various factors, keeping in mind what existed at the time the aircraft was in the air. The aircraft had taken off from Air Force Station Sulur for Defence Services Staff College, which is in Wellington. By road, it's a distance about 80 to 100 kilometers. And by a class of aircraft of Mi-17 V5, which he was flying in, flying time of roughly around 20 to 25 minutes. So the time when it has gone out of contact with the ATC, it must have been in the terminal phase of flight. Now, what happens is, to a layman, they would find it a little difficult to correlate, but having been an air crew has operated extensively in this area, I can tell you that although the weather at the departure airfield as well as the destination, that was Wellington in this case, could have been reported to be fine, over these hills, over the Nilgiris, at times weather changes rapidly.
Yeah.
It could be a very localized phenomena, but it does change rapidly. It could be a very temporary phenomena, but it could coincide with the exact time of flight that, say, about 5 to 10 minutes of flying time that it was over the hills. Now, add to that any technical snag which crops up simultaneously as the aircraft is trying to maneuver through weather, a helicopter, a rotor wing, that too, compounds the problems for the operating air crew a great deal. So, weather problem coupled with a technical difficulty on board is a recipe for disaster. Not discounting the fact that the crew who are detailed for these kind of VIP flights, especially with the Chief of Defence Staff on board, we have very clear-cut SOPs which we work out and stick to the minutest details before the aircraft gets airborne. The most highly qualified air crew with adequate amount of experience in the area which it is slated to be operating in, as well as the pre-flight checks and a thorough technical evaluation of the aircraft before offering it for the flight is an imperative. There can be no doubt about it. So in the Air Force circles, definitely people are still wondering and trying to make out Of course, we can rest assured that it might take a little time,
Okay.
but we have one of the best professionals dealing with the investigation, which the Court of Inquiry is going to subsequently be conducting.
Okay.
And
I want to
we'll
go back.
also be coordinating things with the
I want to go back
intelligence and football.
to the generals, and I want to lay out what General Rawat's contributions have been so far, not just in this first of its kind Chief of Defence Staff post that was created, and his vision of creating theatre commands, which will now eventually fructify over the next let's say year to 18 months. But more importantly, it also coincided at a time, General KJ Singh, when we were seeing both borders active. We were seeing the LOC also pretty active, and the LAC, of course, with China over the last year and a half, 2 years or so. At a tricky time such as this, to have helmed the affairs, first as Army Chief and then subsequently as CDS, what do you see has been his contribution to vis-a-vis both of these adversaries that we have?
See, if I was to list his contribution, it's a very difficult and tough task. But I will just highlight the important ones. The first is he clearly spelled out that China is our enemy number one. And under his stewardship, we have rebalanced towards the Chinese theatre. As you are aware that one corps has been designated to Northern Command to look at Ladakh area and certain other formations, and Himachal border, which was part of Western Command, has been taken out of Western Command and handed over to Central Command. So these kind of changes of rebalancing and putting the correct priority and reassigning formations has been carried out. He was also, in a way, great proponent of integrated battle groups, which have got piloted, which have got tested out in a recent exercise like Dakshin Shakti. So it's been validated. He also was pushing for Atmanirbhar. So he was always pushing for indigenous equipment, and he is a great proponent of that. And one thing is there, wherever there have been shortfalls, we have made them up through the route of emergency purchases. So that's also something which has taken place, and we are looking now much more capable and against China. He also had a certain kind of vision about the HR affairs. So he was constantly looking at ways how to optimize women entry, how to sort of dovetail the short service officers, what kind of contribution to get from them. And he, in a way, he was a hard taskmaster also. He didn't want only passengers. So he was looking at how to keep re-employed officers motivated. And by nature, he wanted to extend the buck, whatever money is being spent on defense. So even in HR terms, he was looking at cutting costs, that wherever possible, a person, his productivity is enhanced. Some of it was becoming unpopular also. But he took the step.
I'll give the final word to General Prasad. Just in terms of taking General Rawat's legacy forward, like I said, the actual fruit of his work, as it were, will probably get known and will probably be known to all, let's say in a year, maybe 18 months from now. But the fact that India now has or is formally en route for theatre commands, integrated battle grounds, as it were, is that going to be the one lasting thing that he has left behind for his juniors to take over?
Yes, indeed, Zaka. He has to make sure that his successor continues with the idea of theatre command with all sincerity to create the battle groups more potent. But more importantly than these two missions, which are very much on track, I would say that the new CDS has to once again create an equation which Bipin Rawat had created with the bureaucracy, which is very important, which is created with the political leadership like the defense minister, the foreign minister and the finance minister, and with the CCS. These are the difficult areas. It is very difficult to create equations when people are resisting it. People do not want the military hierarchy to become that powerful. It is his biggest mission is to see that every strategic decision that the government takes, he is very much a part of it, which Bipin Rawat was. His successor has a tough job. His successor has a job to see that he is acceptable not only by wearing the rank or appointment of Chief of Defence Staff, but is able to interact and convince people in the bureaucracy, in the political hierarchy, in the CCS, within the service chiefs. And therefore, it is that part which is tougher. He has a secretariat, he has a number of senior staff officers to help in routine work, whether it's the formation or carrying forward of the battle groups or the theatre commands, and which is very much on track. Of course, there is resistance from various service headquarters, but more important is how this appointment is evolving and how it stabilizes. If he had stayed for another year, perhaps would have stabilized even more. Today there is certain equations being created. Those equations have to be cemented by his successor. His successor has got a tough job and he'll have to really work hard to take off from what he's left.
Lieutenant General Prasad, Lieutenant General KJ Singh, Major General SVP Singh, and of course Wing Commander Abhishek Mathivan. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll take a break with some pictures of the stellar contributions that General Bipin Rawat has made both to the army and of course subsequently in the last couple of years in his role as Chief of Defence Staff. On the other side, we'll be speaking to former Army Chief General J.J. Singh, somebody who worked with General Bipin Rawat, although he was much senior to him, and talk to him about the work that was initiated by General Rawat and what is the unfinished business that is still left, which needs to be carried forward by his successor. Quick break. We'll see you on the other side.